Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to episode 148 of Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome back to the show. In this episode, we're going to talk about aim small, miss small. We're going to talk about BC and its effect on your dope of the rifle, and just a quick follow-up on our move happening this weekend. So we are getting ready to move into our new facility. All excited, big changes for us here at Wolf Precision, and just want to thank everybody for helping make that happen. So without further ado, here we go. All right, before we get started, I would like to say a quick thank you to a couple of our sponsors, TriggerTech, maker of fine rifle triggers. They make them for a lot of different makes and models. We use them here in all of our custom rifles. They are easy to install, simple to adjust, and probably what we consider one of the best triggers on the market. So if you want to upgrade your rifle and you'd like to do it with a trigger, stop over to triggertech.com. That's triggertech.com today. We'd also like to thank MDT, maker of fine rifle chassis, including the new JAE 700, the new ACC Elite, and the Timber, which we're excited to get here and review as well. So one of the things you can do with your factory rifle, or if you're building a custom, is pick a stock that fits you well and will serve your needs. You can stop over to mdttac.com. That's mdttac.com. Learn more today. All right, so we just got back from the great state of Texas. We were invited down by Brad B. Brad took us down to 15 miles away from the Mexican border. We were just below Rock Springs, Texas, and we were at the Triple G Ranch. I just want to say thank you to everybody that made that trip happen. It was really awesome to spend time with everybody there. The personalities, the camaraderie, just how nice and well everybody was treated. I mean, it was just really a great time. And I just want to touch base on the old aim small, miss small here. We do some private events once in a while. This is a private event that Brad had booked. And the owner of the facility wanted to make it challenging, and he sat their last target for the shooting school, a long-range target, and he sat at 1,130 yards, a 12 by 12 inch plate, the only plate in the southern Texas winds. And I will tell you this, shocked beyond belief that these were all new shooters, all serious hunters, but all new to long-range shooting. And everything that we're teaching them, everyone in the class hit it. Several hit it twice. I find that to be just absolutely stunning. So to all of you in the great state of Texas, A, your speed limits are absolutely awesome, right? And B, you got some good shooters down there. So Brad, thank you for the invite. Everybody there at the Triple G Ranch, it was a pleasure spending time with you. I really enjoyed the opportunity to spend time with you there, so thank you. The aim small, miss small. We talked about this a lot in the class there, and putting it to practice. We do it here at the school. A lot of our targets are really small and on purpose, and we find if we make the target smaller, you'll aim better and you'll focus more. The more challenging you make the target, the more you'll rise to the occasion. And when I first looked at the target, to be honest, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh my God, that's 1,130 yards and it's a 12-inch plate. That's pretty far and pretty small for new shooters. And, although I didn't say anything, I didn't plant any seeds, they did a fantastic job in less than perfect shooting conditions and less than perfect shooting position. I mean, they had rocks and a little downhill, and it was a legitimate hunting course, and, the shots are never perfect. They came, they saw, they kicked butt. So congratulations, everybody there. And again, thank you for what a great hospitality. I enjoyed everybody's time. Looking forward to seeing you back here in Pennsylvania sometime soon. On to the dope part of the class. We are continuing on. I just want to touch base on something that's never spoken about. And I think in getting really good working dope for your rifle, I just want to give you some food to ponder on. What about the ballistic coefficient of your bullet? I've talked about this in previous podcasts where I used ballistic tipped bullets even early on when they were new, simply because I wanted to have a good, consistent BC from bullet to bullet, where I found that hollow points, having different sized points, concerned me that a lot of the misses just a little high, a little low, or the shots are a little high or a little low, might be because of the change or the standard deviation of the BC from bullet to bullet. Oler, a couple years ago, come out with an Oler 58. We do not have one here yet, but I am just dying to get my hands on one to try it. I might have to take another trip to Texas just to get my hands on it. What they're saying is they can actually, with their new OLR 58 system, is actually calculate the real BC of the bullet. So they use the speed at the muzzle and the time of flight to 1,000 yards or a certain distance, and they can actually give you a true calculated ballistic coefficient for your rifle. And what they explained to me, and I absolutely agree with them, is that when we're trying to get good working dope for your rifle, we're taking that everything that we're writing down as a gospel truth, including the ballistic coefficient that's written on the box or that's on the website of the manufacturer. However, though, when we shoot a bullet, well, let's just start here. When we make a bullet, are they all exactly the same? As the dies that are making and swaging that bullet, as they break in, the OD or outside dimension of that bullet can change. We measure them. You can have a 6mm bullet that's 242.8 to 243.3. We've even seen them at 243.8, oversized. That has to have an effect on the ballistic coefficient. The big one is, we talked about this before, is the fingerprint of your barrel. And your barrel is basically swaging that bullet down, making it longer. So as it slams into the lands and grooves, material is being pushed in with the lands, right? And depending on the tightness of your bore, that can have an effect on the shape of the bullet, the length of the bullet, the diameter of the bullet. All of that is now directly affected to the bore of the rifle, meaning that your BC isn't set in stone to manufacturers. It's set in stone after the manufacturer makes it, and it's shot through your barrel. So this is an interesting concept, and I actually agree that this could be one of those missing factors when trying to get really good working dope for your rifle, is that you still have the fingerprint of your rifle, and everyone is different. Even identical twins born today have different fingerprints. Rifles are the same way. You can take two identical rifles off the manufacturer's line, and they might be changing that bullet ever so slightly different, changing the BC. So it's just food for thought. So we're going to get an OLR 58 hopefully this year, and we want to test the theory. But one of the reasons when we get into the next podcast here, when we talk about trying to fix your dope, that we do this, and we have to come up with some pretty ingenious ways to do it. So it's not like we're just, hey, push a button here. We're going to try to give you some advanced tools to really try to tune your dope up for your rifle, because it does have a fingerprint and we have to do it. And one of the reasons is, and I sort of agree with them, is that you can have a different BC other than what the manufacturer's saying. And this is why when you use BC calculators, they're all saying that that bullet is the same BC out of every rifle ever made, ever. And that's not true. And then on top of that, you could have, modern rifles, older rifles. And so getting a good true BC for your rifle, I think, is key. And then on top of that, you take the Hornady 4-Dot program, which is used in the ARC, right? And we talked to Hornady about this, and they had some anomalies. Like, there's a reason why they do a big batch of different guns, because if you notice when they talk about it, is that all the guns have a little bit different of an arc. That's interesting. Some of it could be the curvature of the bore and which direction it's indicating, up, down, left, and right. We'll talk about how we try to make some fine-tune adjustments to that. But the other part could very well be the swaging of the bullet going through the bore and changing the ballistic coefficient. So the next podcast, we're going to talk about how you get good information in the field, the data that you need to keep track of, and then we're going to talk about how to fix it. I think that's the other important part to the process is, okay, we're going to point out all these problems, and, at the end of this podcast, you're probably thinking, well, we'll never get dope ironed out. We will. We're going to give you some solutions to try to fix it, and next podcast is going to be on getting the actual dope for your rifle, like writing some numbers down, getting the information that you need. Then the following podcast is going to be on how we go about trying to fix it, so your ballistics chart says what you need, not what it thinks you need. Some other quick updates that I'd like to share with y'all. This is our last podcast that we will be doing here at our Georgian Place location. We will be moving. We purchased a building at 213 Chestnut Street in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Much, much bigger facility, 3 to 4 times the size that we're in now. We have a new CNC mill and lathe coming in. We have a reloading area. We have Cerakote coming. We'll be doing a lot more in-house Cerakote with the spray booth. So I just want to say thank you out there. Like, we were speaking with a customer from Virginia yesterday, and he had said that, he really appreciated, all the accommodations that we made. He came up and built a rifle. The weather closed in on him. We're like, hey, let's schedule up when you want to come back up and bring your son. Come up, enjoy the class. We'll go to get you in a ballistic class, and no charge. Come up, bring your son, and enjoy the class. But, he had said that how much, 2 or 3 times, how much he appreciated, all the accommodations that we're making to try to, spend time with him at the range and get him working with his new rifle. And, weather happens, these things do happen. And I said, well, if it wasn't for customers like you, we wouldn't have a business to move, because he was like, well, you're moving your business, you got a lot going on. I don't want to bother you. And it's like, it is no bother at all, because if it wasn't for customers like you, we wouldn't have a business to move anyway. And so, I just want to show the appreciation and say thank you so much for everybody out there that's made this possible, from the podcast to the, working on the YouTube channel, the online long-range shooting school, which is now, I think, setting at 27 patrons. We really appreciate that. That means a lot to us, and it's allowing us to grow. And we're still working on new product. We're still working on new inventions. We have one in the works right now that's just jaw-dropping. And when we get settled in, it might be another big game changer. So all of this allows us to do the things that we're passionate about. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody out there that's listening, to all the customers out there that are listening. You really turned this into something that we never dreamed it could be or would be. It's been a lot of hard work, but it was worth it. It gives us an opportunity to serve you and to really share, our love and joy and passion for marksmanship and accuracy and shooting with you. And in return, it just seems to have grown our business relentlessly. So thank you, everybody that's made that happen. So to say thank you, we're going to make an announcement here as we get moving along. We're going to try to have some special giveaways on the podcast. We'll probably announce one next week when we get into our new location here. So stay tuned. Just our way of saying thanks, maybe give back a little bit as well. The online long-range shooting school, we will be producing a new video next week. I think are at 38 or 39 videos. So if you'd like to learn more about the long-range shooting school, but can't come to Pennsylvania to join it, there's two ways that you can attend our class. You can come here, or we can bring the class to you for a private event. We've done that in the past. The other way, if you can't make it to something like this, is to join our online class. It's our entire long-range shooting school. I think right now 38 videos are up. You can learn more about that at patreon.com, or if you go to our website, wolfprecision.net, and go to our online long-range shooting school tab, you can join. It's a monthly fee. New videos are posted weekly. We really appreciate it. For those that are listening to the podcast, we do have our Wolf Pack. So if you would like to support the podcast or the show, it's $3 a month. You can register on Patreon. We really appreciate all those who have done that as well. Thank you. To wrap up the podcast, it's going to be a little short one this time. We are in the middle of moving. Our moving truck will be here in 2 days, and we are packing all of the really cool stuff up, getting ready to get into our new location. But again, just wanted to say thank you so much for making all of this happen and how excited we are. We will have a newsletter going out on Friday to announce our new numbers, new locations, addresses. All that will be updated soon. Everything is still current here. You can contact us here if you would like for any reason. And looking forward to a great shooting season. Our long-range shooting schools here are almost booked solid through July. And then starting in August at our new facility, we'll have in-house accommodations for those who would like to register for the in-person shooting school. You can actually stay with us at our new facility. We'll have lodging available there. We're really excited about that as well. So in the next podcast, we're going to dive into and continue on our getting good dope for a rifle. And we're going to talk about actually acquiring the data in the field. Some things you want to keep notes of, keep track of, how you want to approach it. We posted up a small video on YouTube talking a little bit about this, and somebody had chimed in about it's not barometric pressure, it's station pressure. You'll see this, and it can be a little confusing. We're going to address all of this in the next podcast, because without having really good starting dope for your rifle, you're really going to get and have yourself in a little bit of a pickle before you get started. So we're going to try to dive into that more next week, and we'll actually be recording it at our new location, which we're really excited about. So thank you so much for everybody that's joined us here and for that has supported our business. We really, really appreciate it. It has been our pleasure to serve you, and you have just made our dreams come true with allowing us to grow and keep changing the industry and making it a better place for all of us. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you enjoy the podcast and like to share it, you're more than welcome to. We really appreciate that. If you enjoy the show, leave a nice comment. That helps us go a long way in being found. But my name is Jamie Dotson. I'm your host, and you're listening to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building Podcast.